Alavon says, take all the time we need. Some of us appreciate the raw realness and honesty of your conversation. If they want structured TV like program, they can hit up Pensado's place. But see, that's the and kudos to Dave Pensado and Herb Troutwick and all that they're doing. But my thing is, I don't want to talk at you. I want community. This is more like guys hanging out for me, as opposed to me talking at you. And in the process, I'm sharing experiences that I have had, you know, to help someone in their journey. That's my approach to it, you know. So I'm not going to diminish, like I said, I'm not going to diminish someone's ability to communicate with me. I think that's robbing you all out of an opportunity of interaction, and that is the unique ability of being on YouTube, is the ability to have someone, you know, chime in from Phoenix, Arizona. I mean, you can't do that on live television that you see daily. So that will never change, you know. So we'll keep those things in mind. Armando said he's 39. Okay, and Jude Barnes says 54. Okay, listen. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys being here and being transparent like that. That's important. It's indispensable, you know, to continue to fill your cup. Because I always say like this, you can't give out what you don't have or possess yourself. It's impossible. You can't give out advice to someone on how to buy a house if you're living in an apartment. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? And with that in mind, it's funny because someone emailed me earlier and said that, oh, you need to the comments I get, you need to make sure that when you're recording that you are in a treated environment, and, you know, make sure that you do this and your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. I'm like, okay, click, look, no YouTube videos. Dude, come on, man. You can't give out what you don't have. That's my thing. You know what I mean? And, you know, when I used to have professors tell me, you know, during your juries, listen, land the plane, get it safely on the runway. Do not run it into the tower, meaning that if you're playing and if you're performing, make sure that your entrances and your exits are spot on, because all the stuff that happens in the performance in the middle, people don't remember. But they'll remember if you jacked up. How many of y'all remember when Beyonce slipped on the stage in one of her concerts? I mean, slipped and bust her behind on stage. You remember that. You know what I mean? So people always remember when you screwed up the intro and screwed up the outro of a song. You know what I mean? But all the stuff in the middle, it's like, oh, I don't remember all the detail that happens in the middle. So, you know, I'm veering a little bit off topic, but saying that to say that you got to keep, you know, just adding to the repertoire of life, if you will. Okay, so now, okay, let me take two other statements. Analog says, hi Warren, you're the best. Thank you, brother. And Steve Collins says, laugh out loud. Yeah, man. Yeah, y'all don't know, man. You know, the folks don't know how I got thick skin. You know, I just laugh at more stuff than you know, some people become combative. You know, some YouTubers I'm talking about, they become very combative in their response when they get negative feedback. I ain't got enough time for that. Because if YouTube goes away tomorrow, Warren still has a job. You know what I mean? But for some people, that's not the case. YouTube is their income, you know? So, oh, by the way, the greatest school on the planet. Okay? So y'all better zoom in on that. That's City College of New York. All right? So you better recognize the lavender. All right? You know? And, okay, let's see. I trust your experience just like I trust Jesus. No, trust Jesus more, brother. I am a man with faults. Okay. But I appreciate your jokingly, your jocular rather approach to the topic. You know, it's nothing like a little comic relief, man. And I do appreciate you, brother. Yeah. Mervyn Wheel, am I from New York? Yes, I am. Born and bred. Glenn from Spectra
Sounds. Loves the Cranborne and seriously consider it. Is it a way to get into 500? Okay, so Ninja 6485 has just segued us into today's topic. Thank you so much for that. And, all right, so what is the Cranborne Audio 500 R8? I'm trying to multitask here. Bear with me. That's the rear. Here's the front. Okay. From first glance, what we see, it's a 500 series. Now, take note of what I'm about to say, okay? A 500 series chassis, okay? A headphone amplifier, a USB interface, a MIDI interface, a monitor controller, and a summing mixer, all wrapped up in one little itty bitty neat package. Now, I found now here's, I'm gonna start out by saying this. When I was when Shazam had mentioned it, I think a few of you, others of you as well, have mentioned it to me. It kept, bugging me. So I decided to do a little research and I saw it. I was like, oh, cool. So here was my first thing. I emailed the company. Now they're in London, okay? Okay. I emailed the company. They're in London. I emailed them Sunday night about 11 o'clock at night after I finished, everything here. And then that's about 8 or 9 their time, Monday morning. I ain't heard back from them. Okay. And I asked them a pointed question, pointed answer. So I'm going to start out by saying it this way. That's a major red flag for a small company. Red flag. Danger Will Robinson. I'm going to get ahead and say that for this reason. I think outreach is very important for a company attempting to penetrate an already saturated market. Now, this is the businessman in me. That's a red flag. You're a new company. You're trying to penetrate an already saturated market. I have a decent following here on YouTube, and they keep asking me about your product. I don't particularly need it. I'm trying to meet the needs of those who are asking about it and give them informed information about your product. And I have not, to this day, heard back from them. Major red flag, number one. Okay, I'm not going to get to the ending, but all of the things that we see that it is a 500 series chassis, is a headphone amp, MIDI interface, monitor controller, summing mixer, all for $1,700. Okay, now you got to think, $1,700 coming out the gate. Who is this thing for? Because when you first purchase it, unless you already have, like someone like myself who has a few modules just laying around, and okay, I want to put together a mastering rack and I want to use this unit. I think it's kind of an expensive proposition to get into for just a one-dimensional purpose. I'm not sure if you guys are following me, but $1,700 is not a little bit of money. All you're getting essentially out of the gate is a summing mixer, an interface, a MIDI interface. You're getting a monitor controller. You're getting a lot of things that, who needs this? The person who's starting a studio. You still have to buy modules for it. Now, I did a little mathematics, and this is what I came up with. Let's just say you're the person starting out, and mind you, spec-wise, this thing is very impressive on paper. But, I mean, technically, that really means what to whom? It means nothing to anyone other than the first-time buyer. I built this facility, not me, I'm talking just in general terms. I built this facility, now I'm trying to outfit it. What direction do I want to run in? You have the pick of the litter. You know, it's a condensed unit, it's an all-in-one unit. I think it works best for someone who wants to approach multiple things from one perspective, if you will. You know, you don't have a USB interface, you don't have a headphone app, you don't have a MIDI interface, you don't have a monitor controller, and you want to be able to sum your mixes. If that's your wish list going into this thing, then, and you don't have all of those little individual components, then this is perfect for you. I'm just saying, take the specs out of the equation. Who is it for? This is perfect for that person. Okay? For someone who has, I would say, most of what's on this list, which is maybe most people, if you're a person that's already creating music, okay, if you're a person that's already creating music, either you're a composer, either you're a beat maker, and you already maybe have vocalists or whomever coming in, you have most of this stuff already. So essentially, when you purchase it, for you, it's just a summing mixer. For $1,700, you might as well get $200 more, buy the Dangerous unit, and just augment your equipment list, as opposed to going out and buying new technology from the ground up, because it's like you're reinventing the wheel. You have a monitor controller. This has a monitor controller. You have a MIDI a controller if you're a composer, and it gives you a MIDI. It's, to me, why duplicate stuff that's already probably in your facility? Doesn't make sense to me. From a business perspective, it doesn't make sense. So therein, when I, reached out to the company, I said, I don't think much concern went into marketing research, because if they would have had a marketing researcher as part of the development team, I can almost guarantee you, I can nearly guarantee, if they're smart, they wouldn't have designed this unit. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, because it only makes sense for one type of person: the first-time buyer who wants new tech. If you're that green person walking into the music store, it fits that bill. Now you got to buy the units. Now, let's just say you're a person and say, okay, I want to load this thing up with the best of the best at an average cost of $700 per slot. You're looking at a $5,600 increase in cost based on filling each and every slot. So, okay, we're now at about $7,000 in cost. My thing when I'm purchasing equipment, and this is just as a business person, and I think anyone with common sense, whenever you're making an investment, ought to use this as your benchmark. God forbid, and I don't wish evil or anything on anyone, but God forbid if something should happen, like God forbid you get an incurable disease and you need money for medication, and you're looking around, you don't have the money in the bank, you don't have it on your credit card, and then you turn and look at something in your studio, bro, something gotta fall on the sword, man. That NEVE preamp could be the difference between you having a better quality of life or not. I'm just giving you real life stuff. So to spend $1,700 out of the gate, you better be about to make that money back some kind of way, because essentially what you're doing, you're experimenting. It's no different than when I was about to transition from my HD, the first HD system, which was PCI, based into buying a new Mac as well as a PCIe capable Pro Tool system. I turned to my buddy. I was like, listen, and this was about the time we were working like crazy. And now, and it's Barry D is the artist that I'm talking about, and we were in a business alliance at the time. I was the executive producer of his record, and I said, Barry, man, I was like, if you get this nomination for this Dove, I'm automatically upgrading the system, you know. And my wife, who was doing most of our radio promotion as well as marketing at the time, was like, okay, well, how much are we talking about spending? I was like, at least about $13,000 to $15,000. But I knew that if we got the nomination, I could make that money back because now I had an additional selling point. You know what I mean? Not that I'm great, but you got to be able to leverage your resume versus future work. You know what I mean? So when you're making an investment of $1,700, and that's just to walk through the door, you got to outfit this thing. You know what I mean? So why outfit it with stuff that's just, oh, I just need to put, you know, items in the slots. I mean, these are tools. So you're already at about $7,000 out of the gate. Okay. Another note on you know, I was saying to myself as I looked at the unit, which is it's very impressive. Don't get me wrong. I am impressed with the design, but it's tailored to one demographic. You know, I'm getting deep on y'all. You'd be like, okay, well, you know, can you get to the point? But my thing is always be, you got to spend this money, you know, and it is several units in one. A monitor controller. It's a summing mixer. Okay. It's a 500 series slot. It has its own, you know, proprietary way of communication called cast. You know, it's an actual, I mean, it's a multi-function unit. Let's just paint this little picture for a minute. You're in the middle of working on a client gig, right? Say they put $5,000 in your hand. They need a quick turnaround. And suddenly, and I've had this happen, suddenly your equipment goes down. Bam. You better have another one of these things tucked in the back. Or guess what? You're about to give that money back and you will never get called for this gig again. So I'm saying it's just highly risky because there's so many things that can potentially affect the other thing. I was on their website and I'm like, okay, well, let me see if they have at least a flow chart or you know, a flow diagram so I could at least see how signal gets in, gets out, etc., etc. Absent. They're giving you all the specs, the bells, the whistles. That's cute. That's nice. You know what I mean? Beauty is skin deep, y'all. Because if this thing goes down on a client gig, you just lost that money. Guarantee you. I guarantee you that much. And don't let it go down in front of a client. Suddenly you hit the communication button and the whole monitor section blows. Boom. Okay. You shut it down, you boot it back up, no sound. Meanwhile, the vocalist, you know, she's sitting by the microphone waiting for you to figure it out. No, you got to be able to go into the back, exchange this thing out so that your downtime is minimized. I'm just saying, you know, I had to use myself as an example again. One time, I remembered when the whole Project Studio revolution was starting. I said, okay, I know now I have 16 channels of audio that I need. I buy this console called an Allen & Heath GS316, made in the UK. Beautiful sounding console. One of the top consoles to purchase for Project Studios back when the revolution was just started. I said I need, you know, that and some upgradability. It was beautiful sounding console. As a matter of fact, I sold it to Alan Glover. You could look him up on iTunes. His last couple of records he mixed on it, and he loves it. So I'll never forget when I was transitioning, right? Okay, give you an example. I'm transitioning from 16 tracks. I used to synchronize my MIDI sequencer, which was, unlimited tracks, to 8 tracks of analog tape. Suddenly I need 24 tracks now, right? Now the selling point of this console was that it's expandable. Just buy the extra expander pack, pop the side panel off, connect the ribbon cable, and bam, suddenly you now have an additional 8 channels. Oh, this is great. Lo and behold, the same person that I purchased it from, the company, Full Compass, I bought the console from, they sold me, upgradable. And I know I was going to need that. Suddenly, they can't locate an expander pack. Now, this is in the middle of me transitioning from that into 24 channels of ADAT. All right, now imagine this, if you will. I got everything outfitted in this studio. Everything's wired and ready to go. The only thing I need is these 8 channel expanders so I could connect 24 channels of ADAT. Wait, oh no, I'm calling, after they were unable to, I call Allen and Heath. No answer. I call people in Japan. No answer. I'm scouring everywhere around the world trying to locate an expander pack. Do you know that when I saw them at AES, I told them I will never buy your products again. I have not bought another Allen and Heath product to this day for that reason. You stopped my workflow. You caused me to have to go out and buy something new. Why am I saying all of this? For this reason alone. If this unit happens to fail for any reason at all, this company is located in the UK. Now, if communication with an email is any indication of future interaction with this company, they failed on the basic level as far as I'm concerned. They couldn't even communicate with me and say, hey, we do not send out, or we will facilitate you getting a review copy. They couldn't even do that at a very fundamental level. So imagine if I go out and buy this thing and it fails on a client gig, and I'm sitting around looking stupid. Got to run. I don't have $3,400 to throw away on 2 of these things, because you really should buy everything in 2s if you can, especially if you're a commercial operation. Because God forbid, if one goes down, you need another. If you look at my rack, I have almost 2 of everything. It's just a habit. Go to any studio. You're bound to see 2 of everything. You know what I mean? So God forbid this thing goes down, bam, you got a problem. You got a problem. You about to get that client back their money. Because they ain't going to be sitting around having you burning their clock while you try and figure it out. So that's, to me, one red flag. It's a beautiful unit. It's good for one type of person. That person that's willing to take that risk building or installing this unit in a brand new facility. Now I will open it up for questions. And let's go. Okay. If I would go for a 500 series, this is Abzi. I'm gonna start with Ninja 6485 because he mentioned, and I did see Glenn's from Spectra Sound loves the Cranborne. Seriously considering as a way to get into 500 series, but I don't use a computer. Well, I don't know what your setup is, but consider this. Consider everything that I just said. Number one, they probably gave the man the unit. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not claiming any knowledge of that, but his following is 10 times mine. So they'll probably give him that in lieu of a positive review. And I am not saying that this thing is sonically substandard. On paper, it looks good. On paper, it looks good. And as a matter of fact, no, I take that back. You know what? Sound on Sound magazine did a review where they put it through technical tests on test equipment, and it shines. But it's shining for one person. But I don't know what your setup is, Ninja 6485. So I mean, is it a good way to get into 500 series? Get into 500 series? No, it's an expensive way to get into 500 series. It ticks off a lot of boxes for a certain type of person. So if you don't have a need for a summing mixer, a monitor controller, MIDI interface, you're not that guy. I would spend that money, not even that money, because listen, for the same money and with better rainy day resale value, you can get an actual API 500 series chassis and a NEVE 1073 for $200 cheaper than the base unit that we're talking about right now. So the cost of entry in terms of quality is much less, and better build quality coming from, I would imagine, an API unit as well as a NEVE preamp. So yeah, maybe Glenn got it for free, I don't know, in exchange for a positive review, because they need the help. They're a company of 4, and they have a beautiful story as to how they get along, and that's all nice. But can you guys answer an email? Oh, kumbaya, that's wonderful, but kumbaya does not quell my angst that I'm feeling when the client is sitting there wondering, why am I waiting for this thing to reboot? And you sitting up there scratching your head looking stupid. I don't have time for that. If you're a working pro, man, I wouldn't do it. I've been burned before. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm just being dumb at that point, because this is a very, very specific unit. Okay, so let's go. If I were to go for this is ABZ. If I were to go for the 500 gear, I would first get a West Audio Titan. Okay, then you have Total Recall. Yeah, I mean, if you're not, if this is not your livelihood, the world, the landscape is wide open to you. But if you are turning a buck or spending client budgets on anything, and I don't care whether the client is a $100 or a $1,000 or a $10,000 client, I don't care. That is someone else's money. So regardless, if they're patronizing you, your responsibility is to make sure that everything is running all the time, every time, regardless of dollar amount. You are a professional if you take a nickel from somebody. You just hit professional status. You're a pro. A pro gets paid for what they do. Now, there are varying levels of talent. That's another story. But you are a professional the minute you take that check. So if you give somebody substandard stuff, or if your stuff going down, that's on you. That speaks to your level of professionalism. You got to have a standard. Stand for something or fall for nonsense all the time. And you can't push that off on a client. Oh, my things went down, so I can't meet with you today. Are you kidding me? They done locked out time and your equipment is down. It has nothing to do with them, so you got to fix that. Okay, so let's move on. How does the unit compare to, this is Judd Barnes. How does the unit compare to others? Spec-wise, with all that it offers, it is a highly capable unit for one type of person. If you are a hobbyist wanting to exchange out most of this stuff, fine. You could exchange out your monitor controller, your MIDI controller, your interface, and get in all in one box. Sure, why not? Excuse me. But keep this in mind. This little expense that no one ever considers. You got to cable this thing up, B. You got to be cabled up. Ain't no needing you having stuff dangling all around looking retarded. You might as well put it in a patch bay at that point. Because the client ain't going to be standing around while you fiddling, or you're going to get tired of fiddling in the back to plug this and fiddle in the back. You might as well just patch bay the whole thing, have it professionally patch bayed. So this way it's instant access. You could have the 2 API preamps in the front with the jacks. So this way, if you are a guitar player, plug the direct box in, bam, you're ready to go. You don't have time to be fiddling in the back of the unit. Not to mention that the jacks, as they become, you're putting stress on the jacks each and every time you connect, disconnect. It becomes a problem. You're bound to have a loose solder joint at some point in time. That's a guarantee, because you're putting it under the stress of being constantly connected and disconnected. So how does it compare? On paper, it looks great. But how does it serve you is a better question. How is this unit going to serve me best is a better question. Okay. Oh, analog. Is it possible to link slots between us to get in something like an entire channel strip? Yes. That's another flexibility of the unit. Also, they have a switch on the front that allows you to use it in summing mode without a actual module in the channel, which is a plus, because like I said, maybe out of the box you've just dropped $1,700 on this thing and you don't have the money for the modules. So right out of the gate, you're using it as a summing mixer with a monitor controller capability. And if you're a composer, it has the MIDI capability. So you're getting a lot of flexibility built into one thing coming out of the gate. Okay, so keep those things in mind. Yes, you can link the slots. Oh, this is Mr. Okay. Oh no, he said he's late. Mr. Mrs. Smooth, you're not late, brother. He was working on a song. That's good stuff, man. Analog says, unfortunately, $1,700 for someone who is starting a home studio is a bit too much. Yes, sir. Like you said, the price for this, and yeah, you don't have the modules, is very expensive. Yeah, man. That's and the cost of entry is prohibitive. I mean, it's more. Listen, when you think about it, okay, I'm gonna put together. Let's just use this as an example, real fast, in comparison to this unit. Warren, I'm just starting out and I want a quality channel, a quality 500 series setup. Now, out of the box, Ventec, if you want to come in at the ground floor of quality modules, the Ventec 573 with and I'm not saying that the Clark and Technic chassis, as long as you're not rack mounting it, or if you don't have it close to anything that's going to cause a electromagnetic problem for you, for about $800, you just entered the gate. So that's what, $900 different. But if you have that budget of $1,700 coming out of the gate, then now it becomes a different situation. And you have to think investment. What is my investment? If you're a hobbyist, then it's like less than important to you. You're just interested in making music for fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not bashing anyone that's your thing. But if you're an aspiring pro, you have to keep those at the front of mind. You have to keep the thought that, listen, I'm making investments in my future. Because frankly, I'm gonna just put some of y'all on alert. If you're an aspiring pro, you ain't gonna be swapping stuff out year over year over year over year if it's working. Why you think I'm still running Pro Tools 8? It's stable. I ain't got no time for stuff to be going down. I have a friend of mine, very well respected, award-winning producer. And every new thing that comes out, he goes and buys Pro Tools 12, Pro Tools Unlimited, Pro Tools this, got to get the control surface. And then when stuff go down, you calling me up frustrated. Stop swapping stuff out. It ain't changing how your music sounds. Your music sounds great without it. So just keep going with what you got. Stop making Avid rich. That's how I feel. So I mean, everyone's mileage may vary. If you're a hobbyist, then you can afford to just keep experimenting. There's nothing wrong with that. If it works for you, good, buy it. And if it doesn't work for you, there's always eBay. Or if you get it and you decide that in 30 days it doesn't work for you, then you sell it. You send it back rather. It's one or the other. So keep those things in mind when you're purchasing. That's all. So here's another. Alevon says, I was going back and forth between the 500 R8 and the Apollo X8 for over a year, and finally with the Apollo due to pricing of the design. Seems more costly. Yeah, okay, let's use that as an example. The Apollo's going to hold its value just because. And stop right there. Just because. Just take the name Universal Audio. Just because. God forbid, if you fall on hard times, God forbid, I'm not wishing that on anyone. If you should. And no one in this world, myself included, is immune to hardship. You got to be able to maybe turn something into liquid cash. You're going to get more for that Apollo than you will for that Cranborne. The way they going, they don't even know how to answer emails. So what makes you think if I'm a potential, and I'm not, if I'm a potential purchaser of your goods and I want some support, front end support, I want to know about your product, I can't talk to you about it, or you won't even email me back. Danger, Will Robinson. You are playing with dynamite. Run the other way. Run the other way. Because you're about to drop all this cash and maybe it's just hype. Because I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm going to tell you straight up. Their clocking technology can't even put a pimple on Apogee's face. And then they have the nerve to be in the UK. You got to think about that. You're in America. If this thing fails, who's servicing this thing on this side of the pond? Ooh, we didn't think of that because we're a company of 4. So what you're telling me is that you started a company because you guys love one another and you didn't consider who we're marketing this thing to and how we're going to service our customers on the other side of the pond if they should fail. Who is your authorized repair person? Okay. Nah, man. I've been there buying British. Listen, y'all heard the story about me with these Dynaudios. They're back there on the shelf for this very reason. My daily drivers are the Mackies. For that reason, I'm giving y'all real life examples. The Allen and Heath got chucked for that reason. Thank God Allen bought it. Allen bought my Allen and Heath. But do you think I had the money to go out and buy a brand new console when I was in upgrading to 24 tracks of ADAT? No, I didn't. That was an unanticipated cost that came out of nowhere because y'all couldn't stand by your product long enough. So I've had those experiences, and that was when Allen Heath consoles were made in the UK. Now they're made in China. So I ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole for more than one reason. But, the point is that they took the product and they moved it to another country, 1, and 2, they didn't stand by it long enough, as far as I was concerned, when I was purchasing during the upcoming uptick of the Project Studio Revolution. You're going to sell something to me that suddenly just falls by the wayside, from a client upgrade perspective. Then you failed me, because at that time I'm a working pro, and now I have to redo everything because of, y'all falling short. So you got to think about these things, man. Money don't grow well, maybe for some of y'all, money don't grow on trees. For me, man. So I have to be very smart about how I'm going to spend that money. Analysis for half the price. You could get the Trident Decadent with some great modules. True. Cool Drizzle. What's happening, brother? Ninja, ever see a car that's also bold and not a very car? Right? Yeah, sometimes when you buy these all-in-one, all-inclusive units, one thing could fail and then it takes the other thing down. You know, you trying to compose, you know, some music for somebody, the MIDI controller goes down, and then suddenly slots 9 and 10 don't work. I mean, 7 and 8 don't work. That just blows your day. You know, you can't move forward for those reasons. You said, okay, Arthur, you said you blew one of those up. Oh, well, I hope it's not $3,800 worth of fun. Oh, man. Hold on. I like that it has inserts in each channel, yes. But I also saw a demo where the slots are routable inside of your DAW, freeing you up from the need for patch span. Yeah, but think about workflow. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Everything that you purchase new, especially if it's as obtuse of a unit as this appears to be, has a learning curve. You ain't gonna yank it out the box and start working. Okay? So I would suggest that you put all business or all things that you had that were grand on hold for at least 4 weeks, so that you get your Cranborne legs together and you get comfortable with just flow. You know, you know the ability to work on varying consoles, whether it's a NEVE, whether it's a SSL or otherwise, is generally the same but different in some ways. So maybe you as an engineer would not be as familiar sitting behind one or the other. You know what I mean? It's the flow may be the same, but you're gonna have to learn the actual functionality of the unit in order to get maximum benefit from it. So don't think you're gonna yank it out the box and start working. That's not gonna happen. It's going to require a bit of a learning curve. Okay. Yes. Okay. So let's move forward and oh man. Jazz, this is off top about how. Okay, we're gonna save the Lewitt LCT 40 mics. Have you had an opportunity to really try them? Maybe a topic for another video. Yes, I have. To answer your questions, Jazz, it's all relative. Maybe do me a favor, Jess, if you can, send me a private message and I'll give you my take on it on the whole. All right, you know, just so that we continue to move forward. Jeremy, I totally agree that this is not a pro, that it's not pro level. No. This unit is pro level. Don't get me wrong. You outfit this thing with 10 quality NEVE mic pre's and NEVE EQs out of the gate. This thing is killing. It's straight out of the gate. You got to have the budget to make it killing though. And if you don't, then it's like just another box. You know what I mean? And you have to have that money to lose, you know. You have to have that. It sounds like something for an average hobbyist who wants everything on a subpar level. But no, it's not subpar. No, I'm very, listen, Sound on Sound magazine. One thing about the Brits I have to give respect to, and this is, you know, knowing them personally and interacting with them, they have a very high standard in terms of virtually everything they do. I got a story about how someone was correcting how my penmanship, okay, don't write, and I'm like, what? Because they you know, they have a very exacting approach to just things on the whole. So I respect them on that level. Sound on Sound magazine did a very detailed analysis from a technical standpoint with test equipment and have found that this unit performs just as good, if not better, than most of what's on the market. So, you know, let's not say that it's subpar, because subpar it is not. It just has a lot of stuff in it that is pretty much just for one type of person, or the person who's going to get rid of most things just to have an all-in-one box. You got to be willing to take that you got to be willing to take that risk. And like I said, if you can, buy 2 of them. If you're gonna take that risk, and you know you're gonna try and sell it to somebody in terms of services, don't shortchange a client. That's just whack. Period. Yeah, I mean, because you're putting yourself out of business by making bonehead business moves. You know what I mean? And like I said, you're a professional. If you take $25, if you take $25,000, you are a pro the minute you take that money. So I don't care if you feel all, slighted because you feel like, oh, I don't make as much as Pookie and them down the street. You're still a pro. To whom much is given, much is definitely required. I don't care if you're getting $25 or $25,000, because if you can't be good to your clients with $25, you certainly ain't gonna be good to them at $25,000. Period. You ain't gonna be able to climb the mountain because you gave them whack service at $25. And sometimes one thing begets another. My point is that if you're going to use this unit as your hub to route everything for your business, be careful to at least minimize any potential hazard that can happen in terms of the unit going down. Now, maybe what will probably quell someone's feelings would be maybe if I just spoke to someone pre-purchase. That would be nice. But they don't even have nobody there to answer the phones. That's crazy time. That's crazy. As a business person, that's just crazy. And that's one of the things I don't understand. They want to, they putting these videos out where they're all just jovial and jocularity and having a great time. We love one another. We work well together. That is whack. It has nothing to do with my business. Period. It's great that y'all get along together. But can you answer an email if I'm in the middle of a problem? And jumping back to my friend who keeps upgrading his studio every few years, he's like, "Yo, what's up, man? Hey, man, I got Digitech support on the other line. Can I call you back or something like that? How long you been online? Man, they got me on hold, and then they want to charge you for technical support. You know what I mean? But at least DigiDesign has that infrastructure in place for that purpose. These people do not. They don't have no front end support, and they don't got no back end support because they can't even answer a simple email from me. So that to me is like a major red flag. I wouldn't buy it for that reason. Because I don't need the downtime. I don't need the headache, man. And just like them Dynaudios, poof, poof. Hey, man, you calling this one? I called Sweetwater. I called who are the people in them? Dale Pro Audio. I called people I knew that had them, and everybody's like, "Yo, you about to spring some money, B, to get these things repaired." I'm like, "Oh God!" Call the people $225 to open up just to do a diagnostic. This is right before Christmas, man. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? $450?" And the second one just went down the other day. Meanwhile, they're a company in Denmark. You got to have that money to lose. Nope. Went right out and bought them JBLs. JBL is part of the Harman International Group, and they are located in America. I don't have that problem anymore. You got to find ways around things, or you have to have deep enough pockets to keep playing this nonsensical game with some of these foreign companies. You know what I mean? Everybody running around buying focals and this, that, and that. Yeah, well, if you burn these things, how do you continue to work if you burn them? I don't need the headache, y'all. So when you're thinking about, just going out to purchase, you have to every week this fly keeps visiting me, man. You have to find ways of minimizing any problems that might wind up surfacing in the future. And like I said, one way that they could quell any potential angst anyone would feel, just have some front end support. At least Digi has that for free. At least Universal Audio has that for free. It's important. These are clients. They're spending their money with you. They want to know that they're going to have some support in the beginning, because maybe there's a learning curve that I don't know, and I need you to walk me through it. You think everything is on YouTube? You're a company. You want to take $1,800, $1,700 out of my pocket, but you want to tell me, in order to get your question answered, please shoot us an email, and then you don't even answer email. That's like whack, period, on so many levels. I don't have time for that. Really. You know, maybe I'm just getting old and cranky too. I don't know. But I know one thing. If I'm sitting up here and this thing go down and I'm doing some client work, my wife will tell you I'll be stressing in a minute. I'll be ready to hurl this thing against the wall. Go get me something that I know works. You know, so you got to be very, very careful, man. So let's just take a on the Cranborne. Oh, okay. Oh man. What, the Cranborne? Oh no. See now, Arthur, if what you're saying that the Cranborne demonstrated some bad behavior towards your module, see, that's another thing. Listen. Okay, so let's just jump forward. Is it a beautiful unit? Absolutely. Does it look like it works? Yes. On paper, according to Sound on Sound, they did some extensive tests with it. It works, and it works very, very well. Technically, the clocking in it is favorable when you're talking about jitter. Excuse me. If you guys remember what we were talking about that last week with clocking technology, and in terms of audio interfaces, so the clocking technology, the jitter spec on it was spot on, and they loved it. You know, so if Sound on Sound, I don't know if you guys, you know, they're one of the better pro audio magazines that you can turn to for some reliable feedback on what's coming to the market. You know, and if they gave it a thumbs up, then yes, kudos to these people for presenting a great product. But this product is essentially one-dimensional for, or rather, it's for one type of demo graphic, that is, and that is a person who is just starting a facility who needs everything that this unit has to offer, and they know how they want to flow in terms of their work. So yes, forgive me if I feel a little bit distracted. I'm trying to look at the comments out the corner of my eye. Yep. Okay. Here's a good example of good customer service front end back end support. Ninja6485 said I had a leaking cap on a WA2 and Warm Audio sent me a shipping label, replaced it, and got it back to me in like a month. I spent $10 for some part of the shipping. That's what I'm talking about. You know, you need to be able to get your stuff repaired and repaired as quickly as possible. Let's see. And they actually talk to you if you email. Yeah, Warm is good with that. I mean, I'm in the, if you want to call in the inner circle. So if I send them something, they kind of get back to me immediately. You know what I mean? I've had a chance to sit down and talk with Bryce in great detail, and their marketing person that they have, and the marketing team is spot on. Their marketing team is one of the best for a new company that I could think of, which is why they get a lot of hatred from, you know, their competitors, you know, because like I said, he's a businessman. You know, I mean, music is one thing. Where people fall short is the business aspect of music. You may be in the business of making preamps, but sometimes equipment fails. And if equipment is failing on a Michael Jackson gig, and you give them some Quincy Jones some boneheaded response in terms of getting back to him, or if you can't get him a replacement immediately, trust me, you will be out of business quickly. And I'm just using that as an example. You know what I mean? Because sometimes bad news travels just very fast, you know? So let's jump forward and final analysis. Buy this unit, okay? If you are willing is the operative word, to build your studio around it, okay? You have the budget to outfit it properly, which means cabling as well, in order to get the maximum benefit from this unit, okay? You're that person, okay? Buy this unit if you want to augment your facility and experiment with something new, and you can afford the cost to experiment, then you do that. You're that person. Buy this unit if you're going to be exchanging out most of what it has to offer. It does not make sense to have a monitor controller and buy this unit to be used as a monitor controller. Doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It does not make sense to spend $1,800 just to use this unit as a 500 series chassis. Doesn't make sense. It does not make sense considering all of the competition they have from Apogee, from Universal Audio, from Antelope, from Personus. It does not make sense to buy this unit if you're going to solely use it for the purpose of being an audio interface. It does not make good financial sense. Period. You know, I'm not saying that the unit is sonically substandard. I'm just saying, why spend your money like that? It just doesn't make good financial sense. If you have money to burn, then fine. Go and burn it and experiment and get back to us on YouTube, and we'll all applaud you for putting together your facility around the unit. But let the buyer beware if your pre-purchase contact with the company is somewhat limited because they don't know how to pick up the phone or answer an email. Ain't that much wanting to get out. And listen, here's the irony in the whole thing. UK, as well as most places in America, is on somewhat of a lockdown, and we're all pretty much at home for the most part. So you would think that your phone would be pinging with emails. And you would be able to get right back to people. So why, haven't you guys gotten back? You listen, man. I don't know. Maybe they just a group of youngsters trying to have fun, but I'm gonna tell you, B, when that rent comes due, all right, and lights got to stay on, you can't be soldering up no boards in the dark. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So you can't be dilly-dally. We started a company. It's a lot more to it than that, man. A lot more to it than that. And you got people that's interested in your product, so quite naturally you're gonna reach out to Dave Pensado. You ain't gonna reach out to little old me. Who am I? I'm a nobody. You're gonna reach out to the guy Spectra Sounds and other people who have a larger following than me. It doesn't change my opinion about it. I know for fact that if y'all don't get your marketing situation together, okay, you ain't gonna be in business. Most businesses fail within the first 5 years of development. Those are facts, indisputable. So unless they get their front end support and back end support together, trust me, they will be another company that will fall into the ash heap of companies that have failed because they didn't properly plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And right now they have not planned to have good front end and back end support. Period. Listen, I played this game, y'all. I played this game. That's why I was saying even in the beginning, somebody said, well, maybe you should modify. Why listen to the customer? You got to listen to what people are saying. They're giving you feedback. The person emailed and said, your live streams are somewhat too long. They're giving me feedback. And right now I'm at 1 hour and 10 minutes. So we're going to wrap up in a minute. But, when you, it's important. It's important. Money, like I said, money does not grow on trees, yo. Your money is better spent buying an API unit with a NEVE mic pre, period. If that's the only purpose for buying this unit is to get into 500 series, there are cheaper alternatives. You do not need to spend $1,800 unless you just want bells and whistles. If you want bells and whistles, then fine, go buy it. Because on paper, this thing is killing. You're gonna have some quality sound coming out of it. From a summing mixer standpoint, from the ability to record through units, from the ability to use units to record back, and it's very functional. But it's functional for a particular client demographic, and that would be a person who does not have most of what it has to offer and is starting a brand new facility. So keep those things in mind. Back to the final analysis. Do not buy if you already have most of what this unit offers. Like I just said, your money is better spent buying other things. Decent mic preamps, excellent compression out there nowadays. You could, buy quality microphones. If you want to spend money like that, your money's better spent, because you have to think as a business person. And I don't know if I'm just, I'm not trying, maybe I am trying to encourage most of you all to, I don't care, like I said, whether you're getting the $25 or $25, you got to think, if you're in the business of creation, that's fine. Whether you're doing it full-time or part-time, the money is still green. You know what I mean? But your equipment should not hold you back. Period. Point blank. Full stop. Your equipment should never, ever hold you back. You should be able to hit the switch and flow. And if you find that any point you're unable to, then you obviously have to eliminate what is prohibiting you from moving at a pace that you're comfortable with. That's just wisdom. You know what I mean? So let's jump back to the final analysis and say, beware when buying new tech from a foreign company, because the back-end support may be an issue. I've already said that. And beware when buying tech from a company that tries to penetrate a market already saturated with bellwethers. Those are top dogs like Apogee as well as UA and middle feeders. Period. They got stiff competition. I don't care how great your stuff sound. When Apogee roll up in the AES and they got this sprawling booth and they done put a little money in the pockets of some of their artists and endorsers like a Bob Claremont, you cannot compete with that. I don't care how great your stuff sounds. Because guess what? Ain't nobody humming the name of your product. When they go to buy a record, they want the title of the record, not the title of the product. So however the product was created is irrelevant. Now, if they use that product and suddenly it became a multi-platinum seller, you just got a gift. You know what I mean? As a company. And that's what has happened to quite a few companies. And I know for a fact that newer companies have to give the product away to people that can give it a safe enough endorsement to the masses. That's why everybody is nipping at Chris Lord-Alge. They know that he has a following that's going to push their product to a different point. Does that make Avantone's NS10s good? No. Period. But are they good because Chris Lord-Alge says so? Yeah. But Chris Lord-Alge is being paid. Somebody said about when he was endorsing the Heritage monitor controller, somebody says, isn't it funny that he's endorsing a monitor controller for Heritage and he's sitting behind a solid state logic console, which has a monitor section? How foolish is that? You think about it. So he's being paid. These are paid endorsers. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, the Heritage, I like it. I think it's a great sounding unit. But do you think Chris Lord-Alge is going to install this thing? Okay. And bypass the monitor section of a console that he has spent upwards of 30 years mixing on? Absolutely not. That's a fact. That's a fact, because workflow is important. Time is money. Period. You can't get away from that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so Arthur also said that Chris Lord-Alge needs retirement money. Yeah, he's older than I am. Him and Tommy Lord, they both started at Unique. Unique was one of the spots at downtown that I used to frequent with Dana Reed back in the day, in mid to late 80s and early 90s. Unique was the hot spot. That was their spot. They mixed more records. Steve Winwood and all them mixed more records at Unique than they were one of the top studios in New York. So right now, people like Chris Lord-Alge, they counting them nickels, B. He ain't having nothing to interrupt his workflow. You think Al Schmidt is going to go around randomly endorsing things that's going to disrupt the way he's used to working? This is work, people. You know what I mean? I don't care what level that you're on. The money is green. So if you know you need to get this back to someone by a particular time, whether you're working on Fiverr, which I don't endorse, or whether you have a support of outside clients, regardless, the money is still green. So you don't need anything standing in the way of your ability to flow, period. So like I said, rapid fire, beware when buying new tech from a company that's trying to penetrate a market already saturated by bellwethers. For the same amount of money, tell you the truth, take that $1,800. Here's a little homework for everybody. Take that $1,800 and go into and create just a random cart in Sweetwater with the same things that this thing has to offer. And try to put together a quality cart. You know what I mean? With the same items that this thing has to offer. And I guarantee you're going to come up maybe about $18, $17, or $16.99 this thing is, I think. Let me go back and take a quick little gander. And I think it's $1,700. Yeah, about $1,700. Use that as a budget, just for grins, and put together a cart with quality clocking from Apogee or UA interface. Take the Clocking Technic 500 series chassis. Get a quality channel strip like maybe the Ventec or some other quality mic pre that's within your budget, within that budget. Buy the Warm Audio WA87. Put all those things in the cart and tell me what it comes to. That gets you started. If you're a composer and you're starting from the ground up, you're going to need maybe a MIDI controller. You know what I mean? And compare. Because if one thing fails, let's just say, for instance, if the MIDI interface fails, you know what I mean, or rather the audio interface fails, then at least you could replace it. But on paper, this unit is beautiful. I think it looks good. I think it serves a particular group of people. I think you're going to need a ton of money to cable this thing properly if you're smart, so that you could have less time spent reaching in the back of it. I think their technology with regards to cast in terms of expandability is perfect, is spot on. I think the fact that you have multiple outputs available to you for monitors is great. The fact that you could insert and use the units pre and post production, that's perfect, spot on. You can't beat that with a bat. But it's for a particular group of people. So I'm going to take a few more questions and let's try and stay on topic with regards to this unit. And I'm gonna take this as a bit of a sidebar. Someone said, "What about the SSL6 for summing?" I don't know. I've never used it. I would say that is a niche product as well for a particular group of people. I think it's functional. I haven't used it, so I would suggest that if you wanted to experiment with it again, I'm sure it has the quality that SSL stands for, regardless of where it's made. I know that the research and development that went into it has that pedigree, if you will, of solid state logic, so you really can't go wrong. Somebody said you can go on eBay and buy used. That's true, but you're kind of locked in if you buy this unit on eBay, because some supposed person has a no return policy. What are you gonna do? Can't return it. You're stuck with the nice, expensive paperweight. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want that as a headache as well. Mr. No, you definitely somebody at least. Okay, I think someone's having a private conversation. Okay, and yeah. So if someone says to use now, the SSL Fusion is no joke. I like that. Yes, that's an investment. That's a nice unit. I really like that. So with that in mind, I am going to jump forward and play an outro from a another cue that I wrote for a television show which never made it to HGTV, but it was a theme. Wrong one. I'm jumping for it. And I appreciate all of you being here today. I hope you all have a great afternoon. And the fact that I couldn't use this or the client didn't buy it, for their show is no big thing, because guess what? I am using it to wish all of my friends out there and all of you who tuned in today a very good week, and hope you guys stay well and happy and whole. Family is important during these crazy times. So with that in mind, I'm going to say see you guys next week.